Hi everyone, welcome back to Coffee, Books, and Rain, where I've got actually a big thing of water today. I've got books and reviews. No rain, but that's okay. Maybe we'll have some. Goodness, I've got air bubbles, but maybe we'll have some in a few days. But we're going to go ahead and dive straight into the book of the moment, and it is the Amberglow Candy Store by Hiyoko Kurisu and Matt Trevod apparently is the translator because it is Japanese literature, so it has been translated from its original language into English. Now, this is just, it's cozy fantasy, low stakes, slice of life. These things are meant to be lighthearted, dreamlike, and really just be, I don't know, just like I guess like a piece of candy in your mouth. It's there for a moment and it fades away. Does it leave you wanting a little more? Sure. And I think the story overall, I wish was just a little more in depth with each of the kind of chapters that we're given. I wish we just got a little more with each of those chapters. Just flush them out a little bit more to make them feel more robust. And then I think we would have had just a little bit of a better result. But overall, it was very cute, very cozy, and a very quick read. A charming book of linked stories with a sprinkling of cozy fantasy and a fable-like touch. The Amberglow Candy Store in the Night Alley introduces the reader to a half-fox shopkeeper, Kogetsu. I do apologize for my pronunciation. I'm, saying these words out loud, when you read them in your head most of the time, it certainly one of those things that can be a little embarrassing, so I do apologize. Whose magical wagashi sweets from his shop in Gloaming Lane promise to change his customer lives for the better. We follow an array of characters from various walks of life through their encounters with Kogetsu, who himself learns some major life lessons along the way and reveals his own backstory in the process. It is fantasy, fiction, cozy, Asian literature, Japanese literature, and a little bit of magical realism. It is only about 208 pages in hardcover, and I will say that I went to Barnes & Noble earlier today, got myself a coffee, and saw it sitting on the shelf. So it is already available as it did release November 11th, 2025. So just letting you guys know. It was really cute. I was very tempted to purchase it, but decided to hold off just a little bit. 'Tis the holidays, so I should be shopping for others rather than myself right now. And plus, I am about to buy some things from my apartment, I keep calling it my apartment, my new townhouse. So I am holding off to get some of those things first, and then I can buy the books and such. But this book was, again, it was very cute, very cozy, dreamlike in a lot of different ways, and I had a good time with it. Now, this little Gloaming Lane only shows up when people kind of need a little bit of direction in their life is kind of a good way to put it. And the only store that seems to open on Gloaming Lane is the Amberglow Candy Store. Now, it seems as though we have to kind of walk a fine line between the spirit realm and the human world to enter into Gloaming Lane. So we kind of need to be at a crux in life. We kind of need to be at a crossroads a little bit. And I made notes on this one. This is the amount of notes I tend to make sometimes, especially when chapters are about different characters and we don't follow maybe the same characters throughout the same book. So this particular book follows approximately 5 different characters, and then we get Kogetsu's own little story down at the bottom. We get his little kind of why he opened, or why the Amberglow Candy Store came to be, and I thought it was just lovely. Now, the first girl we run across, I think her name is Kana, because a lot of them are in first person, so unless somebody else says their name, like in dialogue, they don't say, hey, I'm XYZ, and, they'll just jump into the scene, which is great. But I'm also like, where's your name? So I can just kind of know who I'm following at this particular moment. So Kana is kind of, she's a little nervous about her current relationship with her boyfriend. He is studying really hard, like he's part of, I guess, what they call a cram school in order to prepare to go to college. And so she feels like he's not spending enough time with her, that maybe she's being selfish, and that she needs to kind of let him go in order for him to pursue the things he needs to pursue. But also, she kind of doesn't really want to do that either, because she herself, like, apparently really likes him. She's had a crush on him for a while. She finally asked him out like the previous year. He said yes. So when they get to spend time together, it's pretty good. But the only thing is they don't get to spend just a lot of time together. So she's kind of in this heart weary sort of place. And the Amberglow candy store, or at least Gloaming Lane, kind of opens and presents itself to her, and she wanders down. And one of the candies, so some of these candies I had to Google, because I don't know much about many Asian candies, but this one is called a competo. I don't know, but and so she gets a little jar of these little competo, and the Kongetsu tells her, okay, we'll only eat one a day, and you'll get a minor joy in life. And so she's like, oh, okay. So she starts to notice that she's like eating one, and then she'll do really well in a class, or she eats one and she gets a text from her boyfriend. And so all these things are working out really well. Like, things are going really well for her. And she's like, okay, well, I'm going to eat a whole bunch of them now. And, I want a major joy. I want a major joy. Well, she does that. And then the very next day, she finds out that her boyfriend's cram school is being investigated for, I think, like bribery or something. So now she's really worried that it was her fault, that it's because she ate the candy. And so now she feels the need to tell her boyfriend that, okay, it might be my fault. I'm really sorry. And so he listens. And he really, actually, he doesn't react. He doesn't think she's crazy. He doesn't think it's weird that these candies may cause these, like, minor joys. But he also doesn't blame her for, like, his cram school getting investigated. So this is just one of the stories. And so then we move on to different characters, and ultimately I'll just go ahead and kind of like give you each one has its own little closure and own little conclusion. So I don't think that just telling you one of the resolutions is going to spoil the book for you. But at least for Kana and her boyfriend, they are able to talk things out. And because she felt really guilty for, eating these candies and making it like so his school would be closed so she could spend more time with him. And so she kind of just lays it all out there. But then he too lays it all out there. He doesn't want to break up, and he feels bad as well that he hasn't been able to give her the time. And he's had a crush on her for a while. He really likes kind of feeling like he's a normal guy in a normal relationship, and he understands that he's not spending enough time with her. So things work out pretty well. So ultimately, that last candy from the jar, the very last one, it gets transported back to Kongetsu. And we'll see this in each of the other stories as well. So each of those candies now holds a little bit of memory or emotion that was linked to the person who was enjoying it, or who was working through their issue. And so each of these candies has different little what was it called? It was called the Craving More Competo. And so one of the others is called the Invisible Wasanban. Let's see, what is it? There was another, is All Is Revealed Chestnut Manaka. So, see, I just had to Google a couple of these candies. Now, they look absolutely adorable. The La Competto looks like it looks like a nerd cluster, but just like a single nerd. It's all kind of bumpy, and it looks cute. I would try it. And then the little Wansenbon, I think that looked like little shaped sugar discs. Like if you take a Smartie candy and you shaped it into like a flower or a bunny or something, like that's what they were looking like. So then the Manaka looked like, I think it had a filling in it. And so it's kind of almost like this pastry that's been pressed and it's got the filling in it. I would assume it's something like a cookie or a biscuit or something like I would assume like a fig Newton, but maybe it's not fig on the inside. For this one, it was a chestnut. So that sounds kind of good. What else did we have? We had some Enlightenment candied apples. We had some surrogate caramels and a valedictory Mamie Daifuku. I was trying to write them down because I, one, wanted to Google them to see what they looked like, but then two, I wanted to try to explain to you guys what they all were and what the candies were kind of supposed to do. So each of their candy names, being invisible, surrogate, or, all is revealed, each of those kind of has a link to the person who comes to work through their issue. The next individual, the one who it gets the little Wasenbon, and I don't know if I'm saying these right, so I really apologize, but he's lacking a lot of confidence and he wants to be invisible in a lot of situations. He doesn't want people to notice him. So when he starts eating these little Wasenbons, it happens. Like people just overlook him. And weirdly, that helps his confidence. Like his personality changes a little bit, almost like he can get away with a little bit more or be a little bolder because people aren't paying attention to him as much. But ultimately, it doesn't go as well for him in his job, because apparently his soft-spoken demeanor, being a little bit more reserved and a little bit more quiet, was something that actually worked very well for him in his career as a realtor. And so now his boss was just saying, hey, I used to be able to give you the people who needed someone who was a little bit softer, a little bit less assuming. Apparently his name is Ayuma, and Ayuma Koguma, I think something like that. But it apparently means something like little bear walking or walking little bear. And so anybody who hears his name kind of pictures this little bear. And I just picture Winnie the Pooh. So I really apologize. I don't imagine that this poor gentleman looks like Winnie the Pooh. But it does give me a very welcoming feel. When I was finding my realtor, I found a realtor who is called the nerd, who kind of refers to herself as the nerdy realtor. And I was so excited to work with her because I didn't feel like she was going to be overly, I don't want to say aggressive, but intimidating. She just kind of, even upon our first meeting, felt like someone that I could easily work with, could talk freely to, and that's what I was looking for because I had never done this before. And so, anyway, I get it when it comes to that particular job, is that there are certain clientele who are going to work better with certain individuals, and I probably would have worked incredibly well with him. He probably seems like the type of realtor I would have wanted to work with rather than someone who's like selling Sunset or something. Like I literally could not. But So ultimately, we do get this little understanding of the backstory of Kongetsu and how the shop came about. And we understand, like, he had to say goodbye to someone. And the candy store helps him kind of stay connected to the human world by understanding emotions pretty much one person at a time. So I liked it. I thought it was soft. I love these kind of books. I find them incredibly refreshing and I mean, not sad, just a little. I get to be a little bit reminiscent of, are things in my life the way I want them to be? And right now, my answer is yes. Right now, things are going very well, and I'm feeling very good with where I am. But with all of that being said, I think I'm going to go ahead and wrap this book up here and hope you guys will consider reading the Amberglow Candy Store. I do know you can find it at some major big box bookstores, but I'm certain you can get them from some small retailers as well. But with all of that, thank you so much for tuning in. If you haven't liked and subscribed, I hope you will consider it. And I will see you all on the next page. Have a great one.